Opera plots are often complex, and as I've said many times before, and the heroes usually die. Puccini's famed opera Tosca is certainly no exception. This is Dr. David D. Schein, and welcome to the special edition of Starstruck, where we keep our audience up to date on the opera, theater, and art scene. Tosca is one of a handful of operas that is performed around the world on a regular basis. I've seen it several times. Houston Grand Opera began its spring season with local favorite soprano Tamara Wilson singing the lead role of Floria Tosca. And my main observation is while Wilson is a great soprano, there are variations in sopranos. And again, I've seen Tosca more than once. And I think a sweeter soprano, a little bit different voice, might have carried off this production a little bit better. But then again, Tamara Wilson is someone who came through the Houston Opera School, and so a local favorite, as we say. Plot involves our Tosca being in love with the painter Cavaradossi, and that's sung by tenor Jonathan Tettleman. She is a jealous type and is checking up on him near the opening of the opera. Things, of course, after all, this is opera, folks, are in turmoil. Napoleon, and this is based, of course, very loosely on some historical facts set in the early 19th century. Napoleon is trying to control the government in Italy. In contrast, the evil police chief, Scarpia, sung by baritone Ron Giffey, is loyal to the monarchy. In his position, Scarpia is seeking a prison escapee, well, obviously a political prisoner, named Angelotti, sung by bass Daniel Noya. As I've said before, normal opera, everybody dies. The set is dark and gray throughout the production. The scene moves from an old cathedral to a makeshift old props room used to torture Cavaradossi to tell Scarpia where Angelotti is hiding. So that's, kind of the centerpiece of the middle of the opera. It's, as you can gather from this plot, this is not a cheerful situation in any event, and they certainly don't make it any better with the dark set and so forth. Tosca returns to the stage to try to defend Cavaradossi. Scarpia forces her to agree to have sex with him if he will spare the life of her lover. What makes this funny, and this is not the only opera where this happens, is that while Tamara Wilson is a great soprano, she is not very attractive. I'm sorry, folks, let's tell it like it is. And after all, that's the way this works. I'm not on the payroll of the opera, and I'm not on her payroll. I don't have to say anything different than I just said. So she holds out and relents, but then she hears those screams by her lover in the back there where he's being tortured to near death by Scarpia's minions. So anyway, she says, okay, so how are we going to do this? So the deal is that they're going to pretend to have her lover Cavaradossi shot, but he won't really be shot. And then she and he can flee and assume out into the country and someplace away from the conflict between the different powers. So that is done, and a messenger is sent out, and Cavaradossi is physically hauled away to the final scene where he is brought to where the execution will take place, or at least we think the mock execution. In the meantime, Scarpia forces his attentions on her as promised, and they have a very sloppy, kind of semi-looking attempted sex scene. But Tosca has a plan, and she whips out a knife and she stabs Scarpia repeatedly until he falls on the floor, and we assume he is quite dead at this point. She then goes to the execution location where she thinks that her lover will be shot at but not shot killed, and they will then flee into the night in happiness together. Well, it doesn't quite turn out that way. The firing squad actually kills Cavaradossi, and when she realizes after the firing squad leaves that he doesn't get up. He's really dead. She is so upset that as the minions for Scarpia come around the corner to look for her because they found the dead body of Scarpia, she heroically jumps to her death at the very end of the opera. And like I said, all of the key characters dead. And so it is kind of interesting. So not the happiest of plots. The Puccini music, of course, is some of the greatest ever written. A tremendous orchestra under the direction of Benjamin Manis, and it supports these beautiful voices in this production. Disclaimer: I buy my own tickets to performances. I do not promise any reviews, and I do not indicate that I'm going to do a review. Dr. Dave awards HGO 4.5 stars for its dark production of Tosca. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favorite platform.